Crypto is evolving. Meme coin trading has become harder than ever, since rug pulls have just become this weird standard. But traders still want to hit a 100x play. And instead of betting on the charts, they're actually finding some success playing Solana casino games. In this video, I'm going to dive into one of the most popular and up-and-coming Solana casino games on the market. A game that actually mirrors the meme coin trading experience without any chance of getting rugged. It's from a website called SolPump, and it's called Crash. I've spent the last 2 weeks running data simulations on this game. I've created AI-driven probability models, and overall, I'm just trying to determine if there's a way that I can mathematically increase my chances of winning Crash on SolPump. If you stick with me until the end of this video, you will be an absolute expert on the game of Crash, and I'll also provide multiple strategies that you can use to increase your odds of winning. My name is Vic. I've been in the crypto trenches since 2020. I've worked with brands like Kraken, Exodus, and over 100 more. And on SolPump, I'm currently setting at a net profit of 12.7 Solana, which is over 2,000 US dollars. But before we get into the data and the strategies, I gotta go over a few disclaimers. First off, I'm not trying to promote gambling at all. I actually don't like gambling personally, but I do play it on stream because it's fun playing it with you guys. And the times that I have played it on stream, SolPump has provided me with some what we call fill, which is just basically an amount of money for me to play with. But just to be clear, I would be playing it anyway. So it just makes my life a little easier that I don't have to pay out of my own pocket all the time to play this on stream. So it's kind of like a win-win. All that being said, nothing is financial advice in this video. You need to play responsibly and only play with money that you are able and can afford to lose. So if you've never heard of Crash before, I'm gonna give you just a brief tutorial on how it's played and where things are located. First off, you're gonna wanna go to solpump.com. This is where I play Crash, and there's a reason that I use this site over other sites. They have some cool features that I haven't seen anywhere else. I also do have an affiliate code for SolPump. It's just Vic, V-I-C. So if you wanna support the channel and try it out, go for it, use my code. And when you use someone else's code, you can actually open the daily case right here, which can give you free Solana or some other perks. So right now, a game of Crash is starting, and you can see here that a bunch of people have put in different bets, and everything's fully transparent on the blockchain. Like this guy here bet 0.19 Solana, so that's $33. This guy bet 0.12, and I can see all of it. And now the game is actually starting, and the multiplier has begun. So we have this rocket, and when this rocket crashes, anyone still in it will lose their money. But if they got out before it crashed, they actually won money. So you can see this guy lost, this guy won, and it's the multiple that they got out at which they win. So if I bet 1 Solana and it goes to 2x and I click sell at 2x, I've hit a 2x and I get 2 Solana back. But if I hold it and at 2.1x it crashes and I didn't cash out yet, I lose my whole budget. The whole bet's gone. But the one thing that SolPump has that other sites don't have is advanced betting. So if I click this button here, I open the advanced betting tab, which is brand new. And now I can do something called a progressive cash out. So at 2x, if I don't want to take all my money off the table, but I want to get my initials out, I can sell 50% at 2x. So I've taken my 1 Sol back, but I keep 1 Sol in case the thing keeps going higher and higher. And the next important place we want to look is up at the top. These are the last games that have been played. Now, this isn't actually crucial data when it comes to playing Crash, but it gives a good feeling of like what might come next, even though each bet is completely independent of itself. So there are a lot of misconceptions with Crash and how it all works. I've heard people be like, oh, if I bet big, then it crashes right away because it's rigged. And it just isn't like that. The reason that I like playing a Solana-based game rather than just like some random casino is because all of the data is transparent on the blockchain. And I can go and review every single outcome that happened. I can also review if the outcome was determined before the bets even came through, which is how SolPump works. So before anyone even bets, a seed is generated that holds the multiplier within it, but it's hidden from the public. And until the public seed is created, no one knows what's gonna happen, meaning it can't be rigged, it can't be tampered, and if it was, you'd be able to see it on the blockchain. From the Crash page, if I go over here to this little checkmark shield icon and I click it, I'm gonna get this pop-up box that shows me the current game ID, the hash server seed, And you can see it actually just generated the public seed when the game was actually rolling out. If I click view fairness here, this is where things get actually crazy. Because if I scroll down, I can go and I can scrape all of the games that have ever been played on SolPump. Like you can see there's 171,000 games that have been played on SolPump, and I can copy and paste all of this data into ChatGPT, which I literally did. I scooped 2,000 games of SolPump and I dropped it into ChatGPT because I wanted to analyze the data and figure out what was going on. How can I win? Or can I even win? And ChatGPT went full mathematician. I could never do this math by myself, like not even close. I don't even know what this stuff means, but it literally broke down everything. It broke down the house edge. It analyzed the distribution curve of numbers that could potentially happen, analyzed the expected value of different cash out points with different betting points. Essentially, ChatGPT absolutely cooked. And the sad truth of what I found out is that you can't beat this game. If you played every single round for 1,000 rounds, there's just no way to win. And that's okay. That's part of gambling. The house always has an edge. So after I kind of acknowledged that and I had a night of just like kind of depression because I'm like, damn, I can't beat this game, I decided, you know what? I'm going to keep diving into the numbers because I want to really understand what I'm working with here in order to maybe optimize and build a strategy to reduce my losses while also positioning myself for some potential big gains. I mean, now that SolPump has progressive cash out, there's definitely some opportunities to leave a little moon bag hanging once I've already taken my initials and a bit of profit. But it's working with those numbers and figuring out the best strategy that got a little tricky. So after scraping 2,000 rounds of SolPump crash, ChatGPT determined that the multiplier was determined based on what's called a Pareto distribution curve. Now, a Pareto distribution curve looks something like this, where over 53% of the outcomes that happen are going to be under 2x. That right there means that if you bet all the time, you are going to lose a little bit of money over time. And as the numbers actually increase, they get less likely and less likely to even play out. As you can see, this is a Pareto curve. Now, on top of that Pareto curve, SolPump has actually implemented a 5% house edge, meaning that out of 100% of the money being played on SolPump, 5% of it is pretty much mathematically guaranteed to be profit for SolPump over a long period of time. Because you might not play every single round, but SolPump does play every single round. So they mathematically need it to work in their favor. Essentially, what it comes down to is you need to get lucky and you need to play less. And I know that sounds like common sense, but playing less is the key feature here, because the more you play, the more your outcomes will revert to the Pareto curve. You could hit one round and have it do a 10x, and this was your round right here. But if you played 100 more rounds, you would lean more in this direction until you just weren't profitable anymore. At one point, I was up 21 Sol on SolPump, but now I'm up 12.7. So you can see that the more you play over time, it dilutes your odds of winning. So when we're talking about having an actual strategy, we do need to incorporate luck. We need to incorporate that tail end, the mega big wins, because those mega big wins are what's going to actually pad our pockets and create tons of profitability that we can absorb once we start losing again. And I've seen some crazy P&Ls on SolPump, like up hundreds of souls, and it's because they won a few massive rounds. Now, what I'm talking about when we look at the extended period of play is actually called expected value. And it's a mathematical formula that says, okay, if I play infinite rounds using this strategy, meaning I'm aiming at this cash out number with this amount of bet, where will my profit or loss be in 1,000, 5,000 rounds of playing? And essentially, there is no combination of positive EV for crash using Pareto curve at a 5% house edge. It just doesn't exist. And it sucks, but that's the damn truth. So I try my best to break this game, but it just can't be broken. It's just mathematically sound. Some crazy genius created the foundation of Crash Game. It had to have been. But with all that being said and being discovered, we can still implement strategy. We can create framework for us to maximize the potential wins. And it all starts with playing less rounds. So when I'm playing SolPump on stream, typically what you'll see me do is count the amount of 1x's that have happened in my playing sight. So within the last 20 or so spins, because I know that the general baseline is about 12 1x spins should have happened out of that 20. If I have 12 or more 1x spins, that's really the only thing that I can go off of, thinking that, okay, it will revert back to the Pareto curve and we might see something bigger pop up. But what we're actually talking about is something called the gambler's fallacy. Since every outcome is actually completely independent from other outcomes, we'll never be due a big number. Like, just because the board is full of 1x's doesn't mean we're gonna hit a big one next. But with that being said, I typically see 12 out of 20 1x's on this board. So there is something to grab onto there. It's just not very sound strategically. But when we're getting into actual strategy, real strategic levers that we can pull and be in control of, there are only a handful. First off is how much bankroll you have. So right now I have 3 Solana in this wallet. That's my bankroll. I want to be betting 5% of my bankroll every bet consistently. That is how you have a strategy. You have a consistent way to show up. 5% means that I could lose 20 spins in a row, which is pretty difficult to do using both of the strategies I will cover. And after 20 spins of losing in a row, if I lost, well, damn, like, odds are just not in my favor. That for me is 0.15 Solana, about $25 per bet. Now, the first strategy that I want to go over is very simple and very rigid, and it can work in your favor if the board is hot and there's lots of golds, but it will kill you if there's some 1x's happening a lot. And that is simply the 10x auto cash out strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click auto cash out 10x, because I've seen on the board 6 or 7 golds, and if we hit 6 or 7 golds, that'd be 70x just in the last 20 spins, which is the type of luck that we're looking for. If we go lower than 10x, then our multiple when we hit isn't going to compensate for the amount of spins that we need. So 10x is actually a bit of a sweet spot at 5% port. Now, I'm not actually going to play any rounds, but if I was playing, I would have hit this one right here that was just 4 spins ago. And then this 14x right here was about 12 spins before, so I would have hit 2 of them in the last 15 spins. So I would still be profitable. Now, the next strategy is using the advanced betting, and this is a little more intricate. It is much less risky because you're taking some profits along the way, but we can still leave a little bit in the chamber for a moonshot. It's just less of our bet we'll be able to do that. So we will stick with our 5% bet here, but I'm gonna remove the auto cash out and I'm gonna open advanced betting. And how we're gonna do this is we're gonna start out at 10 and we're actually gonna use all of our buttons. We're gonna use 10%, 25%, 50%, and maximum cash out. So the way that this strategy works is I take 10% at 1.2x. So I'd have to click 10% and then boom, I'd have to actually click sell. I take 25% at 1.5x. I take 50% at 3x, and then I would take max at 5x plus. And you can leave that max, that last piece in for 10x, 20x if you really wanted to for that moonshot play. Because the odds of getting to at least 1.2 is reasonably high, meaning that you're scooping some of your bankroll back as it incrementally climbs up, reducing your risk over time. If you're actually trying to play the game and have fun playing the game and have a longer tail of playing the game without losing, this is a good strategy. It minimizes the amount that you can hit on like a 5x because it's not truly 5x since you've removed some of your profit, but we've reduced our risk. These two strategies are different from each other because one is max risk, max reward, and the other is minimum risk, minimum reward. And again, they are not going to win over the long haul. They will eventually lose if you continue and you play too much. But we want to minimize the amount of games that we play and maximize the amount of luck that we have, as ridiculous as that sounds. And more than anything, I personally play this game for entertainment purposes. I'm not actually trying to win a ton of money, but I have had huge wins. Like I hit a 9x on one Sol and that was just crazy. Like I won 8 Sol in 25 seconds. Just reinforcing the fact that this game is about luck, timing, a bit of strategy, and just having fun. So I hope that was helpful in your pursuit of trying to win the game of Crash. I will be doing other videos like this because I believe that Solana gaming is going to absolutely take over the industry very soon. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, check out my Telegram link below where it's completely free to join. And as always, stay safe in the trenches.